The Real Hustle, smart strategies for income, life, and business. We're going to sit down with Dr. Rachel Smartt. She's a naturopathic doctor, and she's discovered years and years ago a blueprint or a business model that allows her to serve patients, protects her time, allows her to create a great legacy beyond her practice and her clinic. And we'll discuss her journey, how multi-stream incomes can be developed within that kind of a business model or a professional business model, like being in the medical field or a personal trainer or things like that. And we'll navigate a little bit how you can have real integrity while doing all of this, which can be a challenge sometimes. So, Dr. Smartt, welcome. I'll try to call you Dr. Smartt. I would like to call you Rachel because we are
Well,
friends.
I love it, and I'm glad that you invited me to speak here, and I'd love to help, give inspiration and some education and some solutions too. And I'm grateful to be able to expand the reach where health professionals have ways to leverage their time with education. And there's ways that we can get more support with some of the things we do to collaborate because we can't be experts on everything.
That's true. That's true. Well, your story is really powerful, and I want everybody to hear it. Can you give us a little bit about your personal story and some of the trials that you did go through, and then how that resulted in you becoming a naturopathic doctor and even adding in your Juice Plus business with that?
Well, I am just, a lot of times we go through life, and I believe, and as I think we all could agree, that when you go through the path and you think you're on the path, there's some things that make decisions, whether you're very inspired because something you learned is something that you're called to because you're desperate. So my story began with a wake up call, and it was, I was sitting in the middle of a wonderful life. I had four beautiful children, a 1 year old and a 10 year old, and there was two children in between, and married to my sweetheart. We married for about 20 years, and he was the tip top athlete, perfect picture of health. And all of a sudden there was shattered dreams. He was diagnosed unexpectedly with very little warning with adrenal cancer. It had spread all over his body, and they gave him 6 months to live. Now,
How old were you at that time?
I was 34 and he was
Oh my
37.
gosh, yeah.
So, just like what happened, I was a stay-home mom. I was loving what I was doing and never saw it coming. And I was so grateful, or we had each other to fight with, and we have a strong faith to can navigate how we're gonna surrender, we're gonna pray, and then we're gonna search. And because the doctors dismissed us because we didn't have any traditional treatment, that was an open door to go search out alternatively because there wasn't traditional treatment. And they didn't, what are you going to cut out when it's all over the bones and the lungs and the lymphatic system and everything else? So a lot of perfect alignments happen. I won't go through all of them for the sake of the time, but we met a person that knew a doctor that had just been speaking in Atlanta. He was kind of the forerunner, the pioneer of prevention in 1990. That's when it all kind of began. A lot of the pioneer doctors and the forward-thinking doctors began their research about prevention, antioxidants, and food first approach. And so we followed that connection, and we went to Oklahoma. Dr. Joel Robbins, and he was just one of the sharpest forerunners. Worked with Dr. McDougall. There's some other ones in the beginning of this whole
Yeah.
platform. And we went out there for about a week and a half, and we got in his Rejuva week. We learned about the body can heal. Food is your best medicine. We learned about colonic therapy, food, juicing, wheatgrass, dehydration, the mind, everything. And I soaked it up, and he became a mentor of mine. I began going to school as a naturopath at the very beginning because I'm going to help my husband live. We're on a battle plan for him. I have always been very healthy. I wanted my kids to be armored strong. And so we went full force with how to alkaline the body, how to give him, work on that, helping him fight, because we're all going to die, but we don't have to speed it up. So we're
Yeah.
trying to extend it, expand it, and with combination of faith and food and, the community and everything working together, he was just blessed we learned juicing. Juicing was a big tool at the beginning. We started out with a full 1 month of a juice fast, and, we did all the other colonic therapies and things that I teach and do help. And I share these cutting edge therapies with my practice today. But we started working with the mind. Of course, mind has a lot to do with it, and juicing by the gallons for that first month primarily. And then it was almost 100% plant-based diet. And getting that, start with education, which we did. We start with detoxing, which we did with food and other avenues of herbs and things. Then we worked with some of the tools like juicing, and then we were introduced to Juice Plus. And I was a healthy skeptic. I guess I was a healthy skeptic. I like healthy skeptics because I think you need to be a skeptic. And I just was learning about another way to juice on it was more juicing on the run. And I kind of pulled back. I was doing all the stuff myself on the hard way with the juicing, sprouting, the things, dehydration, and getting the living food to help his body to fight and to, alkaline those cells and getting the body to communicate wellness. And he was going back to work. He was, trying to get back into the rhythm. And I believe it was God. Of course, that was God. It was a nudge to expand my reach to help him and also help others that were fighting and wanted to help as well. Because I began helping others along the path. And Juice Plus, when I heard this, the cutting edge doctor he was Dr. Rick Du Bois in Atlanta. He was one of the best doctors there are in integrative health. He was working with AIDS patients and he was using a food concentrated for plant powders, crushed plants in a capsule, Juice Plus, because of the research and the results. And so when I saw that and I looked at they had 15 published studies there and they were done. And we can talk later about how I know, Juice Plus works and why I recommend it today. But it became a way to get out of the house, get out of the kitchen a lot so I could enjoy my family. And we used it therapeutically. So we can use crushed plants, concentrated plant powder in variety in a way that we can have it. He extended his life for 8 extra years.
So yeah, that's what I mean, I remember hearing your story and hearing that the medical doctors give him 6 months to live. And through so you seek out some alternatives. You just ask some questions. The path leads you to these various natural pathic type people. And even Dr. McDougall, I know who that is. I mean, he wrote the starch solution. I've used his principles to address heart disease, and my numbers are completely different now. No, you got to do some extreme things, but what you can do with natural things is pretty remarkable.
Right, and we're not dismissing medical doctors, but we're saying there's tools and the doctors that I was trained he was a medical doctor and trained in naturopathic care. It's all about getting your body to heal and getting out of the way a lot, so I'd say 70 to 90% it can be very, it's miraculous.
Yeah, that I mean, that's pretty incredible. So, as you're learning from these naturopathic doctors, you're obviously coming home and you're helping him and you're juicing now. I mean, I can't imagine how much you're juicing is tough. I know I've tried that.
Well,
But
yeah, but in back up with the juicing, the thing that really made me take a look at Juice Plus because it was more a higher higher level than juicing because it wasn't just taking out the water a limited amount of things you can palate. It was the peelings, the pulp, the vine ripened quality of generational farmers. It was a lot higher quality than what you're getting in the store, and we use that because foundationally, 80% of healing is in what you put in your mouth and it's in the kitchen. And then we
mm,
work on the other cores of health with movement and attitude and, all the other things. But when I began realizing that it is a lot about the food, and then you have the other cutting edge therapies that can help the body can do what it's supposed to do, get out of the way. Well, we're going to we either battle strong, fight to stay well and to maximize our life. And so I began to really see how food gives the edge on life and seeing my husband, how he did so well, even though it's been about 20 years now. Have been able to have a heart to help people have solutions that are incredible. So I use a lot of different things and I use a lot of mind body work as well because I think that's a big part of health and managing your emotions. But I really am proud that I've been a successful naturopathic doctor and I have things that we naturally people are very receptive. They see great value. I give research. I ask a lot of good questions and just grateful to.
I can imagine. I can imagine. I mean, you're very thorough and not intense in a bad way, but in a good way. Like you're very passionate, I would say. One thing I always worry about with juicing, because Sharon, my wife Sharon, and we take the Juice Plus products as well. And I'm a vegan now because of some heart issues and learning from guys like Dr. McDougall and Dr. Ornish and whatnot. But we occasionally will juice a bunch of stuff, and we'll go through a little juicing phase. But I always notice, let's say you're doing apples and some other things with some of the fruits. I worry about like the sugars,
Well, we want to you can see a big rush of energy because there's a lot of sugar. It's good, but we do need the fiber. We need to make sure our body knows how to, have the digestive health. And a lot of things we juice is we put a lot of apples in things and a lot of carrots, and we want things. I remember once I tried to juice cabbage juice. I wanted the most
I've
potent
done it.
profile. Yeah, the cabbage juice,
Ginger.
it burns. It's a burning, but we wanna be able to have that, and so it's nice to have a solution. This is my foundation to my nutritional plan. As we start making changes in the other areas of their health, we look at their whole picture, but you gotta get the nutrition right, and it starts to catalyst and create other changes with their palate and their gut health, and they have, the digestion, start having bowel regularity, and things begin to change because you fix the foundation. And when a lot of people come to me and they're taking a boatload of supplements can be really helpful, but I believe you have to start with the foundation, and then you can eliminate a lot of other the toppers, I call them. And I always like to use the analogy, when you go to build a house, you're not going to start with the shutters and the doorknobs and the light switches. You're
Mm.
going to start with the cement. And once you get that cement done and build the house right, you have less supplements to take. There's very little. And if you do, they're usually for a month or 2 or 3 months, and get off of them for an exception for a couple.
Yeah. Well, I want to tell our live audience that's watching that you can ask questions in the chat, and we'll try to address those questions as we go through this tonight. But back to you, Rachel. I mean, it's tough to even hear that. That to go through what you've gone through as a family with children, and to lose your spouse at such a young age, it's tough. But those years that you gained obviously had an impact on you, because like, you're not wondering if you can naturally help people. You actually extended a man's life by many, many years that happened to be your husband. So how did that impact you as far as becoming a naturopathic physician, and to just connect with people, and how did it just form how you wanted to serve people moving forward?
Well, I wanted to expand my reach of I thought a lot of people that I had started to connect with, they knew me because of my relationship with them, and thinking, if your husband looks like that, Howie Long, they always calls my husband Howie Long. He said, what does my husband have, struggles? They started seeing it was about, you can't feel disease or see disease until it's already developed most of the time.
Mm,
So and I always like to describe it like the iceberg. You don't see the thing building until you have the little pop up of the iceberg, and that's where the symptom comes. So all I wanted to expand my reach and help people be aware with preventative health. You got to be proactive. Don't wait for your teeth. You go to the dentist to be able to keep. You want to keep the teeth clean before you have the root canal. And so I helped people that were scared to death and that they were battling something. They wanted preventing it. I wanted people to not have to worry, as at least reduce, not saying that everything is resolved by doing all these amazing things, but you're keeping the disease at bay, or
yeah.
minimizing. So I wanted to be able to get in to serve people. And so I really found that was my calling. A lot of times we go through hard things, and it opens up a door of, like, this passion. And then I was definitely not a corporate person at all. I didn't even finish college. I 3.5 years, well, not 3 and about 3 years into my third year, I was going to be a nurse.
Mm,
And then, we got married the third year, and then we moved, and then I couldn't get the colleges, and they wouldn't transfer the credits. And then I started doing other things. It kind of, I always wanted to be, I worked in nursing home in 2 years in college, just to get some, little bit going through school. I wanted to help people when I got into the nursing homes and seeing elderly, how they aged. I go, I want to help people before they do that. I want to help them with prevention. And they didn't have that preventative field then. It
yeah.
came out about the time my husband got sick. And so it was a miracle open door for me. And I believe that God turned a calling into what could have been a tragedy. And I believe that everybody is called to, love someone, and we learn to love deeper because we let go of what really isn't ours at the beginning.
Mm,
And we have a very close family. I armored my children. I help others with the things that I do. I speak a lot, but I love seeing health and hope. I guess that's what it is, hope, turn around, because there is hope. We don't have to be just hearing a diagnosis saying, well, I guess we're going to give up. It's when you go to fight. You got to get that little pit bull. You're going
yeah.
to fight for what it is, and having the tools to do it and systems behind that, and how to leverage things as well. Because I'm not a medical doctor, but took me about 3.5 years to get I have a dual degree, a naturopathic degree, and a nutritional counseling degree.
Okay.
And I got a
Well,
lot of
We
things
are
that
going to we're going to get into some business talk coming up here, but and I want somebody in the chat named Healthy. We're going to address ethics and her and Rachel's confidence about Juice Plus and feeling comfortable staking her reputation on it. That's our third topic. I do want to do one quick question from Lisa, Rachel, and she says, "Are because I know that I already heard the answer to this somewhere else. Are there any other supplements you think are important for people in general to be on other than Juice Plus?"
primarily there's two with vitamin D3, K, and um, B12. And
B12.
yes, because those are just something we struggle with. And I always say get your levels checked because you can also be very rarely to be overkill on the vitamin D, but sometime you are. And I go every year. I've only been to well visits in 25 years. And I've been doing everything that I teach. I'm not perfect, but I've been doing the foundation and 80, 90% of the time. I've only been well visits in 25 years. And I get myself checked for well visits every year. And so I see what my levels are, and they've always been on. But those are the two mainly. And then get yourself checked. If you need some supplements, there are some really good, pure encapsulations when I use but you can go and find where you're lacking. And then I say a month or 2 or 3 months and usually get off because your body starts getting out of whack.
Mm.
Typically, it's just we need synergy. And that's where I love about getting a whole food concentrate. You got all the thousands and thousands of variety of polyphenols and beta carotenes and where Mother Nature knows how to make this communication work within food. You're not trying to isolate things out. And if you are, it's only a month or 2 or 3. And then typically, you can pick up with food and make sure you're not pulling in the toxins because you got to work the other end too, right?
So you use a supplement to get your levels up to where they should be, and then make sure you're eating the right stuff to keep it there.
Right, because if you don't, then it becomes a tax to the body, and that's you're exhausted. I People come to me and they're so taking all these supplements, and I go, "Whoa, your body is trying to get rid of. They don't work all together, and you've done them too long. Let's just get you off of them. Let's just start letting the body learn how to do it on its own." And then once in a while, tap, tap, tap. You can tap it, but it shouldn't be long term. That's my opinion.
And that's when, and I'll just say for our audience so they understand, that's one thing that makes our Juice Plus product unique is that it's not a supplement. It actually doesn't even have a supplement label. It has a food label. It's literally fruits and vegetables and berries in a capsule. So that you can't overdose on broccoli or kale,
No.
but things like D3 or B12, those are isolated nutrients that they've identified, and then oftentimes they're making this stuff in a lab, and so it works in the body, but it doesn't work the same as the synergy we would see with real fruits and vegetables, which is what Juice Plus is.
Also, there's the profile of all the different organ-specific plants that Dr. Centillo was. I'm very impressed with his work that he created. He looked at the vibrational frequencies of the different colors of food to make sure that we were getting the most healing potencies, all the plants coming together to help the blues, the reds, the greens, the oranges, and all parts of the body, the lungs, the liver, and the gallbladder. And it wasn't just the banana but it was all working together. And I've been to the farm about 3 years ago. I think it's about 3 years now, but Chicago, one of the biggest kale farms. We saw them
Hmm.
pick and vine ripened produce, which is you don't get in the store, high potency, high healing. And then, washing the food, the trucks come in, the layer of all the testing, about 7 layers of testing is tested on the finished product, not on an ingredient. It's tested in the blood. And we don't do hypes, pay to market and have the big branding to be able to have the pretty things out there. It's really research that shows up in the blood of a human being. And then it's creating other things that, the body knows what to do because it is a miraculous gift from God. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, your knowledge is so amazing as a naturopathic that it's hard for me. I'm trying to I'm saying to myself, okay, I got to talk about business here. We're supposed to talk about business, but we keep going. We're like 20 minutes in here. So we're probably going to make this 2 videos or 2 episodes. Thanks for our live people for being with us. But before I move on to business talk with you, I want you to share a little bit about your new book that's coming out because I think it might help some of our listeners and people that see this, and we'll put a link into the show notes for that.
Well, it just came. 10 years ago, I had a book. I collaborated with my daughter. It's called Modern Day Miracles. And this is our story of how we found how to fight while when you live in a family that goes through a lot of navigation of hard
Hmm.
things. And it's really about faith and resiliency. And it's all the things we learned. And it's a story that I'm amazed when I read it. It's really miracles of God. They are alive, and I'm just grateful that I never would have gotten through the storms if I hadn't seen what I know. And then
Mm,
after 10 years, I realized people are having a hard time managing how to get through the storm. So I went to a deeper dive of 7 pillars for miraculous living. And when you go through storms, it's harder the storm, the higher the strength. So there's 7 pillars to how to navigate the hard emotions and really identifying what is it that we can rewrite our best story so we can find joy in life and see the
mm,
miracles is a deeper dive and a restored perspective. So I will give in you can send out the link to where they can see a little
yeah.
30-second video of
Oh,
my
cool.
sharing and then where to get that from. And there's a 50% off a course for a limited time. But I really found that people don't have joy in life. They have a lot of emotion, stress, and storms, and they get flatlined, and it affects your health, it affects your income, it affects joy. And I
Yeah.
want people to find there is joy even when you're going through the circumstances. It's about the focus.
And that's the new book that just came out?
Yes, yes.
Oh, excellent.
Harder
Yeah.
storms, harder strength.
Phew. Well, you've been through them. You've been through them, and listen, one thing I've learned, getting into, my 50s is that everybody's gonna have those storms, so you gotta be ready to weather the storms. I live in Florida, so I've been through many a hurricane, and, you gotta know what you're gonna do. You gotta have a plan, and I think your book is gonna prepare people, not only for the storms they're going through currently, but even just helping them in their faith. I mean, faith is a huge part of everything for you, right?
Right? But there's 7 pillars, and it's very easy to navigate, and I
Oh,
believe
good.
these are critical. There's 7. You go down, and we have lots of things, and some of the greatest storms are complacency and is drifting. There's a little bit of so I have 3 sections to the book, but I really feel that the joy is what people are missing, whether it's a death or divorce or a downsize or lost dreams or just loneliness. There's lots of things, and we want to help understand how to navigate those well, and it's with the
Yeah.
Lord.
Well, we are going to stop there for now. There's more to this interview, but we'll catch it in the next episode. We're going to dive into the business side of things. She's going to share with us how healthcare professionals can build a sustainable business and create an additional income stream. And you're not going to want to miss it. So we'll see you then. Tune in. Thanks again for being on.